And we are back once again right here on the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford once again from Game Source and Pop Culture Cosmos. I'm here with my good friend, also from Pop Culture Cosmos and the world's greatest gaming store and also growing collectible store as well, Retro City Games, right here in Henderson, Nevada. It is Douglas Hoyabu.
How you doing?
All right, I'm doing well, and I know everybody out there is doing better now that we're part of the Pop Culture Cosmos scene. Wanted to give everybody a shout out as far as this is concerned for tomorrow, as far as your second anniversary.
Yep.
So congratulations to both you and the real boss, Nicole Galgazian.
Thank you. Yeah, we're doing a game night tomorrow and a celebration of us being open 2 years now. It's from 6 to midnight. It's Saturday the 24th. But yeah, we're going to have pizza, drinks, cupcakes, games, lots of games, more games.
Henshin Engine will be here. The
Henshin
guys
Engine will be here.
with a running demo, I'm assuming?
Yeah, the running demo, I believe it's the first three, don't quote me, first three levels of the game are completed. And they'll be doing a giveaway. We'll have some raffles going. A lot of fun.
And Pop Culture Cosmos will be back here at 9 p.m. I know Rob McCallum himself has said he will actually be here in order to got some good questions to ask him. We've already talked about earlier this week about good topics for the show coming up. But yes, it'll be a live stream. As if you were somewhere else on the planet and you cannot make it, just tune in right here to the Retro City Games Facebook page, and you will see the second anniversary celebration of the best gaming store in all of Las Vegas, Retro City Games. Once again, this is the Pop Culture Cosmos. We got a lot of great things for you today. Going to be talking about gaming consoles here in a second, but I want to also give a shout out. If you do not know already, we are available Monday nights. Well, actually, as of right now, Monday nights, you never know with the schedule, but Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, on the Podcast Radio Network. We appreciate everyone who has actually already gotten a chance to use the TuneIn app or their CryCray app to get the Podcast Radio Network. If you have any questions, just go head over to Pop Culture Cosmos or as well the actual Podcast Radio Network Facebook pages, and they can tell you exactly how to get Pop Culture Cosmos on the Podcast Radio Network. If you are unable to do that, we also are available on iTunes, on the Pop Culture Cosmos iTunes channel, and also as well the Pop Culture Cosmos podcast.com channel. So there's lots of ways to get us and find out exactly more about what's going on. But also as well, our new site has popped up as well. That is popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. So we are now part of the WordPress scene. There's already about 24 stories up there, including one that I detailed on this store right here. Hope you get a chance to read it. A lot of great things going on as far as it's concerned. I know Josh, my good friend Josh, he's going to be adding to his Peterson files. And also, I did want to make a mention that podcast available, Wine, Women, and Words with Diana and Michelle. Michelle, our editor-in-chief, she's actually has her own podcast, Wine, Women, and Words. If you are really into books, as far as what's going on in the book scene, as far as characters, as far as great books, and books that you need to read, and books that you like reading, that you like hearing more about, you want to check out Wine, Women, and Words. It's a great podcast. It's available on the Wine, Women, and Words YouTube channel, and also as well on popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. Wanted to talk to you about today something that's near and dear to your heart as a gaming enthusiast to say the least. Your favorite memories about your favorite gaming console ever.
My favorite console.
I know there's been plenty, and I know the choices are, in abundance.
It narrows down to two for me. The first of which, being the Super Nintendo, it was the first console and only console I had growing up, until the release of what I would consider my favorite console, the PlayStation 2.
Why is that?
It's the games. There's such an abundance of quality games on that system. There's over 1,800 games in the library. That's just the U.S. releases. And I feel it's really hard to find bad games on there. If you're in the mood for sports, it had some of the best sports games of that era. If you're in the mood for RPGs, it had the best RPGs of that era. It had the best action games. I mean, some of my favorite series started on there. The Onimusha series, some sequels like Crash Bandicoot, the Killzone series. All those things are games that I still play those series today, and it all had its roots on the PlayStation 2. So PS2 would have to be my favorite. I mean, what would you consider your favorite?
That is a good question. When I first sent that to you, as far as what the topics would be for the episode, I thought at length what for me, because I've had Pong, because of my age, I've lived with Pong. I lived with the Atari 2600 era. I lived with everything from ColecoVision. I had that. Even delving into PCs, early PCs with Apple and Commodore.
Well, yeah, I mean, likewise. Even now, I own over 30 sit-down consoles, and if you include handhelds, over 50 consoles. I mean, so
I've had handhelds as well.
I get the
all the way up to the PS4, the PS Vita, Xbox One. But I have to target one. I'd probably say the original Xbox.
Really?
Yes, I know it did not have the 1,800 games library that the PlayStation 2 did. No, it did not have the best of this, the best of that, the best of as far as it's concerned when you consider an overall factor. But it had certain games that I felt connected with me. When you consider, obviously, it starts with the Halo series. From there, their marquee franchise, the thing that will probably be most known for.
Oh, yeah.
The advent of Xbox Live, and the fact that it was really truly the first. It wasn't the first console that actually introduced online gaming, but it was really just probably the first one that really embraced it.
The first one that did it right.
Yeah,
I mean, the first one that really took all those elements that needed to be there for an experience of playing games with someone else when they're not sitting there with you.
Exactly.
The chat system, even incorporating video early on in the 360's life, and towards the end of the Xbox, they had a little bit of it, but.
Well, I think a lot of today's online experiences can trace its roots back to the original Xbox and Xbox Live. That for me is probably I would have to say it's probably the best for me. Nintendo 64, obviously a great system with a great library and catalog itself. There's obviously the systems today, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, which are really quality systems, and now getting a library that's really starting to make its own niche. The Xbox 360 and PS3, with depending on who you speak to, both had their ups and downs as far as not only with sales but also with their library as well. From a masterful storytelling and variant standpoint, the PS3 and 360 obviously, probably have hit a very high end as far as the gaming console is concerned. But I'd probably say the original Xbox for me.
I guess I could throw in the Vita into that conversation as well. But I kind of disconnect I don't know why, in my head it's really this new generation that I've kind of separated. I don't know, to me the PS3 360 kind of was aligned to me. I don't know, where it feels like this whole generation, for the most part, is more about pushing visuals, pushing realism and everything. And then the PS3 and 360 try to do that, but the 1 and the 4 really try to push that realism in shooters. Not that games don't have that. They're not fun, but they don't have that quirkiness and weirdness to them. As a whole industry trying to achieve that anymore. I don't know.
That leads to a bigger question: has the video games because now the technological advances and the graphics are at a high premium, and the fact that they can pretty much, I don't want to say they can do everything when it comes to it within the confines of a video game, but they can do so much now, more than they could in the past. Is the simple ambiance of the actual video game is gone? Is the nuance, and as far as the actual simple storytelling sometimes of video games as a whole, has that gone away? The charmed experiences you must have had in the 90s and the early 2000s, where as myself as well, the late 80s, early 90s, as far as from a storytelling standpoint as well. Is that something that's missing now in our days and age of video games?
I don't know if it's completely missing, but it's definitely pushed to the back burner. I mean, my favorite Xbox One game is Ori and the Blind Forest. But you talk to half the people out there, and they've maybe heard the name but haven't played it. And it's one of those games.
And some who did play it, stressed its difficulty level as far as it's concerned.
It's difficult, but it harkens back to that older style of gameplay. It's extremely story driven, but it also doesn't hand the story to you either. You have to figure things out. You have to go and explore that that forest. You have to go explore that world. Games like, I don't know, go back to Halo on the original Xbox.
Yes.
Halo 2, even the multiplayer, between Halo 2 and Modern Warfare 2 are probably my most played games.
Well, Halo 2 to me, and that's another reason why I like the original Xbox as my choice, is because Halo 2, I think, along with the Xbox itself, are pretty much categorizing what online gaming is all about. That game, as far as it's concerned, set the standard for what multiplayer gaming should and is now in this days and age.
And I agree completely. I put well over 1,000 hours into that game. I could say probably close to 2,000 in that multiplayer. My friends and I,
2 years straight.
It was a LAN party every weekend, either my house or my friends' houses. Every weekend, it was just playing online and just playing the heck out of that game.
Halo, from a storytelling standpoint, was outstanding.
Oh, and the first two games, story-wise, to me, are brilliant.
Halo 2, from a multiplayer standpoint, at that point in time, there was no equal. And, of course, the Halo series is still very strong as far as it's concerned, but it's not as much as it once was.
And that's what I was getting to. The games that I'm supposed to be excited for, the big franchises like the Halos and the Gears, I've put more time into Ori than I have any other game on the Xbox One combined.
Do you think it's because of age, your tastes have changed? Maybe your fatigue on series?
I still love shooters. I still love all that. I just feel like when we have this push for realism, you start to have games kind of all fall into the same, feel. I mean, even Grand Theft Auto is real, but it has a silliness, has a quirkiness to it. I think that's why so many people are drawn to it.
That's why so many still continue to play, is because they are looking for that element.
Exactly. I mean, the Saints Row series can be said the same. There's a realistic world there, but it's not realistic at all. And I think that's why people play games. It's to escape reality. So when Modern Warfare and Gears and Halo are starting to push more towards that gritty, real feel, it kind of pulls me out of it a little bit. It kind of distanced me as a player because I feel like I've played it before.
Exactly, and I totally can understand that. What are some of the games from, as far as from a specific standpoint that you have the most fondest memories that helped create your decision as far as the best gaming console ever?
I'll start with that second one that I said, the Super Nintendo, because it's really hard for me to separate the two. It really is. PS2 edges out barely. It was Super Mario World. That was the first game I played, and that was the only game I had for quite a long time. So exploring that world and finding secrets kind of blew me away. And then A Link to the Past. A Link to the Past is hands down my favorite game. The fact when you first walk out of your uncle's house and you go do you go into the basement of the castle. When you first come out of that castle, or not the castle, you come out of the sanctuary because of the tunnel. You come out of the sanctuary and you go, all right, go wherever you want. My mind was blown. my mind was, I can do whatever I want and go wherever I want.
And you always remember that first experience when, like I said, I'm old enough to have bought and played the original Pong. And when my father hooked it up at the first time and turned on, and there's this blip, 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 mind you, it's very simplistic today. And most people out there are probably laughing. But for me at that point in time, late 70s, whatnot, it was just, mind-blowing that something I could be doing and interacting on the screen was up like that. So I get that entirely. And you always want to recapture that feeling in some form or fashion, even if you can't do it entirely like it was once before.
Yeah, and when you got to the PS2, those worlds got bigger. And even the first game I got, because my parents got it for me for Christmas, the system, and the only game they could find for it was a Tekken Tag. Mm-hmm. And I'd never really played a 2D fighter more than for 10-15 minutes at my cousin's house. And it was the first time I'm like, wow, this looks just like the arcade. And I could go back and forth between that. And looking back, the Dreamcast did the same thing. But
of course,
it was the first time I had that experience.
Was there any real consoles that might have let you down from an entire library standpoint or from a system standpoint that didn't meet your expectations?
The N64. Actually.
Really?
Yeah. I remember not playing that many games on it. I never owned one, but my best friend who lived like 5 doors down from me had one.
But see, that's the thing.
Every day.
N64 for me was I played only a few select games.
And that's the thing.
And for me, that was enough.
I look back and it has a small library, but I feel the quality of that library is very poor. It really, it's one of those systems that let me down later on when I started to go back and I'm like, man, I never had one of these. I picked up the Mario Parties, your Mario Karts, Mario, 64, the Donkey Kongs,
The GoldenEye.
even going back into playing Wave Race, which was or not Wave Race, Wave Race, excellent game.
Yes.
Hydro Thunder. Hydro Thunder, I put tons of hours into, one of my favorite arcade games. I was like, man, this system can't handle it. I mean, the PlayStation port's better, but that's a horrible port of it.
But it
the
did.
The Dreamcast plays it perfectly.
But it didn't recreate that experience that you were hoping for.
Not at all. I must have had those fanboy goggles on, you know what I mean? Or nostalgia goggles, just looking at it like, oh man, I want this to be better than it really is. Even games like, and I'll get crucified for this, but Ocarina of Time. Going back and playing that game, it is much more linear than I remembered it being.
I can see that.
I remember spending a lot of time exploring, and I realized that was because we just didn't know what to do.
But a lot of time it's a programming issue
yeah.
of that time. At that time, I mean, when we were playing through it, you don't. At that time, you were just trying to focus in on what's going on, and you're thinking this huge world. But in reality, when you're able to take a look at it, some 20 years later or whatnot, it's quite a different story. And obviously, the limitations now come into fold. And I understand it's hard to see that with now these rose-colored glasses. A lot of people have a tendency to see them through.
Well, and I know the graphical stylings were different, and a lot of people, look down on the PS1 for that polygon look and that less polished look. But you look at things like Valkyrie Profile and the Tales of Destiny series, even the Final Fantasy series, and the massive worlds they created.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's tough going back to that system. I have a lot of fond memories, but it's really tough for me to. It kind of lets me down now. It's tough for me to go and get excited about the N64, and I don't know why.
For me, I think it comes down to the question of with such a huge library, how come the Wii didn't do for me as a consumer? There were, like you said, there was only a limited number of interactive games that I felt comfortable with doing, that I felt comfortable doing with the crowd, that I enjoyed and looked after. But when you trying to look for a game, and even if you're here at Retro City Games here in Henderson, Nevada, trying to look through the library of what they have to offer from the extensive library of Wii games, you're trying to find one that wants to tell a story. There's very few out of the literally hundreds and hundreds of games that are made available that a lot of them just seem like cash grabs at the time.
There was a lot of shovelware on that system.
Exactly, indeed, and unfortunately, when you're trying to shovel through that shovelware, there isn't a lot of games of substance as much as I would like to have seen that system. For me, it kind of the novelty and nuance of the Wii kind of wore out real quick, as it did for a lot of people.
I would agree.
At the end, near the end of the life cycle,
I've had a little different perspective on it recently in the last, I'd say, 6 months or so, because it's one of Nicole's, actually one of her favorite consoles, because it was the first console that her whole family played together. It really did what the commercials were saying,
and those points in time, I did like it. I did enjoy it.
I look at it now as less of a I don't want to say a true Nintendo console, but less of a hardcore gamers console, or even in just a more than casual gaming console, in the sense that it doesn't have those deep, rich stories like as many as I'd like. There are the Zeldas, there are some games on there that are good games. But it's more of that pick up and play. It's a party system to me. It's a pick up, have some fun with your girlfriend, your family, whatever, for half an hour in a game, and move on to the next one.
I think because the online system with Nintendo, especially at that time, was really just not up to the standards of even PS3, which admittedly was a free service and quite often acted like it. The Wii service was even less approachable as far as it's concerned, and less usable by an online, from an online status.
I'm not even sure if Nintendo still knows what the internet is. Like, they really, even to this day, you jump in Mario Maker, and they might have updated it, so if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But when that game first came out, if I wanted to play a friend's level, they had to send me a code for that level, even though they were already friends in the Miiverse with me. I couldn't just browse my friend's stuff.
Exactly.
I had to send me a special code, and then I could look at everything they've done. So it's one of those, I don't know, Nintendo, that's one of those things I feel they're really lacking on. But then on the flip side, with their PR department, they probably use technology the best with the Nintendo Directs and the polished and, clear and concise, information they give.
Exactly.
But when it comes to the actual gaming, they just pretend it doesn't exist. They're just like, eh.
Now, I want to ask you, are there any systems that maybe slip through the cracks, that you feel needs more love, that should be given to more love, and by whether it's a system maybe from the past or one that's currently usable or currently purchasable, being able to be purchased right now by a large consumer base, your choice. What console sticks out to you as one that maybe should get more love from consumers and gamers alike?
In the current gen?
No, it doesn't have to be current gen, past, whatever one that you feel like, hey, more people should have given it more love.
The Vita is the one that sticks out in my mind. Everybody gets mad, or not mad, but think tired of me talking about the Vita. But if you like RPGs at all, which to me has driven gaming for the past at least 15, 20 years, it's a system of RPGs, and really good ones. But I'll actually go with its predecessor, the PSP, because it was the opposite. Good. Everybody was looking for RPGs on that system, and really true turn-based RPGs, I believe there's 7. There aren't that many true RPGs, but the amount of action games and puzzle games, I mean, the Ys series on there is fantastic. It was the first Legend of Heroes games we got in the US. There's a huge, amazing library on that system.
And the success of the actual unit is quite often overlooked because of what happened with Nintendo and the DS, and obviously evolving into the 3DS and what have you. The PSP is often overlooked as far as where it stands in the gaming hierarchy because, like you said, the PSP was a standard and was a comparative handheld that many bought. Millions upon millions have bought.
It's just hard when your competitor sells 110 million units.
So
that's amazing.
Even if you do half that much, which it did, you're talking well over 50 million buys. But when you can stand up next to what the DS did, I understand it's hard, but their PSP obviously did appeal to me too as a console. I think also one for me that stands out that should have gotten more love is Dreamcast. I personally had the Saturn, did not have the Dreamcast, but I did actually when I was looking when I was doing some research over the years as far as the number of titles, what it did for the industry, what it could have done for the industry. I think the Dreamcast stands out for me as something that, as a system, it could have really gotten more love and should have gotten more love from consumers. Your thoughts?
I agree. I would actually go the Saturn, or I'm sorry, the Dreamcast is one of those systems that I feel was an amazing system, and I think it was hard to love it when it came out because of that lack of third-party support. Sega had burned so many bridges between the CD and the Saturn. I was actually going to bring up the Saturn as one of those systems that,
because I like the Saturn as well.
It's gotten unfortunately extremely expensive as of late, but I mean, bringing on from the Sega CD era, the working designs games and things like that. I mean, so there's some amazing games on the Saturn, and it was a
powerhouse too, graphic-wise.
And they still hold up. Yeah.
I remember the games I played on Saturn. I loved it. Just many quality games, but unfortunately, like the Dreamcast, it also met an end just too soon, as far as is concerned. Well, too soon.
Yeah, and I really don't know if that was a consumer's fault or Sega's fault. I think it was a little bit of both. The consumer not ready for another console, and Sega kind of pushing it down their throat. Coming out with what? 1, 2, 3, 4 systems in what? 8 years?
Yes.
9 years? That was a little. That was rough.
I know sometimes the complaints is that the Genesis stayed on shelves way too long. Some complaints have been made about that. I don't share that entirely myself.
It's something you don't see happen anymore. I mean, when the last gen is done, it's done.
Yes.
Sony's really the only company that sticks to that 10-year support, and that's normally the last system that's on shelves is an inferior version of it.
Well, I think PlayStation holds and Sony holds a little bit more strongly to international sales, and they don't dictate everything off of what happens in North America, or they don't always dictate what happens in Japan. As you and I both know, that the PlayStation is still, the PlayStation 2 is still even sells today in South America, and very strongly.
Brazil is a huge market for actually the Master System and the PS2.
Yes. Well, also PlayStation 3 as well. Yeah. It still sells very, very strongly there. In fact, here in Las Vegas, there are several stores that I have seen that tours actually come through there, and specifically to buy a lot of electronics. And what I see go out isn't always PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, whatnot, but just because we do the high Brazil. Brazil, the high costs as far as owning a gaming system
It's
there.
the taxes.
Exactly. That cause a lot of sales for here, but specifically go to there because there is a gaming hungry crowd there, and obviously Europe as well. We will talk about how that Europe still stands by a lot of gaming systems that maybe North America or Japan don't always stick with as well. So,
Yeah.
but your final thoughts on what memories you have and why the systems that you chose are bring the strongest memories to you.
My strongest memories, I mean, actually with the PS2 would probably be actually Onimusha. I hadn't really played any Resident Evil at the time, and I know it's a little bit of the system's a little bit of a clone of that, but it was the first time horror I felt had really been bridged into a game, and it has those RPG elements, and it was one of those games that when I finished it, and although it was short, I kind of sat back and I never really played anything like that, and it's actually, although I don't go back to that series that often, it's probably my fondest memory of that system, the Onimusha series.
That's an excellent series indeed.
I mean, for you, what would you?
13.
Yeah.
For the original Xbox. I played
Excellent
through
game.
it. Very underrated multiplayer, but an excellent story. If there's one maybe game that's been overlooked from that era, it would probably be that one that I would hope be remade at some time or revitalized in some fashion. With cel-shaded animation, it really didn't have to work hard to present a good look, but still didn't have to be a graphics powerhouse for that because it wasn't trying to recreate from a life-size standards. It was doing cel-shaded. They were trying to make it a comic book as far as that type of environment.
I know, a completely different game, but the Jet Set series, it's the same kind of thing. What they pulled off was so little because of cel shading.
Exactly. It to me, it was just something. It's also the story from that standpoint just seems something that for me caught me good, just gripped me for the entire way, and I just thought overall it was just such a great experience for me. And then also Morrowind. Even though that was a port and the PC version is a little bit better, I should say.
Elder Scrolls is always amazing.
Yes, I mean you can just go in there and delve, for a number of hours into a world and just do it any number of things. Bethesda has always gone out of its way to create an environment that's second to none. I know they're going to do that again when they, obviously bring out Skyrim and touch that up real nice. That's coming out very shortly.
I have that pre-ordered, but do you know if will your save files transfer over? I hope I can pull it to the cloud and do it.
I hope so, but remember this is Bethesda.
I know.
Bugs need apply when you talk about a Bethesda game.
I'm just my last save. I'm like 240 hours in, so I really I want to play it, but I don't know if I want to start over.
I do want to play it, as we talked about previous episode. I want my experience to be better when it comes to Skyrim. If it's anywhere near what I've had in Oblivion, where I played well over 130 hours myself on that, I'm really looking forward to that. But one thing you could say with Bethesda, they really go out when it comes to the DLC. Horse armor side, the DLC, as far as their larger DLC components, have always been of a higher quality, and something that extends multiple hours, that creates an even bigger illusion within the Elder Scrolls environment. And I'm looking forward to getting back into Skyrim and giving that another chance myself.
Yeah.
So some great console talk indeed. What is your favorite gaming console and why? There's plenty of places where you can share your opinion. We're going to start off with the Retro City Games Facebook page. You can start right there if you want to leave your opinion, or try us as well on the Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page at Pop Culture Cosmos on Twitter. You can give us a try as well. And, well, our home site, one of our home sites, Game Source. That's been going on had that for a number of years now. We report on a lot of different articles across the world on the gaming scene. You can always share your opinion there, but give us some love on any one of those pages, Retro City Games, Game Source, or Pop Culture Cosmos, on what is your favorite console and why, because we'd love to hear from you, and we actually will give you the feedback. If you go to Retro City Games, I will tell you, these Nicole and Doug all day long and I know this from personal experience now, all day long, answer your questions and answer your comments.
We do our best.
They are tremendous indeed. If you're in the Las Vegas area, if you're here traveling, if you're here as a visitor, come on down to Retro City Games. Going to be celebrating their 2nd year anniversary here coming up very shortly, and I just want to congratulate both you and Nicole again. This is going to part will actually be on the Pop Culture Cosmos radio show. So from a nationwide and worldwide audience, I want to say congratulations to both you and Nicole on your 2nd year anniversary, which will be after this plays. So
Right.
I mean before this plays. So out. So I'm very, very happy for you. Any last thoughts? You know, as we're coming up on 2 years for you.
It's exciting. I mean, anybody who starts a business, you know, wants to succeed, but getting to do what you love every day, that's one of the things. So, yeah, Nicole and I are just hoping for many more.
Okay, even when you're here for the 30th time, I have a question on this game. And it's like, you know, I see that.
No, it's all fine.
Okay, good. Fair enough indeed. You guys are great out there, you guys and gals that go and support gaming entities like Retro City Games and us here at Pop Culture Cosmos, and also Game Source as well. We truly appreciate your support in listening and watching. Up next, we're going to talk about collectibles and see, you know, what collectibles that you should be interested in and ones that you might want to stay away from right after the break. About 15 more minutes. Thanks everybody for watching here on the Retro City Games Facebook page. This is Pop Culture Cosmos. I just want to give a shout out to everyone out there that is watching the show. And at this point, we're going to talk collectibles for a few minutes, and just truly appreciate you actually getting the chance to sit down and watching what we have to say. If you get a chance and you are out there and in the Las Vegas area, as I said it before, I'll say it again, please give some love to Retro City Games. They do a tremendous job here as far as providing the consumer with all their gaming needs. Just a lot of great people here that are really, really happy and proud to be part of the Retro City Games experience. Nicole and Doug leading the way. And remember, tomorrow night, from 6 p.m. to midnight. That's 6 p.m. I said 5 p.m. earlier. Apologize for that. It's 6 p.m. to midnight. They're having not just the game night, it's a 2nd anniversary spectacular, per se. So I truly appreciate it that you guys come down. Like I said, Henderson will be here. There are prizes. They've talked about food. They've talked about, well, a whole bunch of things. There's gaming going to go on everywhere. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's a lot of revelry. In fact, there's going to be a stream of Pop Culture Cosmos at 9 p.m. Rob McCallum will be here. Doug may pop in, although this may be what you might see on the screen. Hi, bye, hi, bye. Nicole, this may be what you might see on the stream from
Like
Nicole.
right now. Hold on.
Hi, bye, because they're going to be the center of attention when it comes to the 2nd year anniversary. We truly appreciate allowing us to be a part of it at Pop Culture Cosmos, and going to be starting back up here in a second with our continuing episode. Again, if you don't catch us on the Podcast Radio Network, check us out on iTunes and podcast.com.
But no.
Okay. Fair enough. We're coming back and we're back for another segment of Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald, once again with my good friend Douglas Hoyabu from Retro City Games and Pop Culture Cosmos. If you get a chance, check us out, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. We've already got a lot of great stories that we have just put up there about the gaming and pop culture scene. We've got a lot of stories that you should check out, some of it from the past, some of it new and been updated. We do really appreciate it if you check that out. Plus, it also has a continuous RSS feed to not only the Game Source podcast, but the Pop Culture Cosmos podcast as well. So if you forget the iTunes, you forget the podcast.com, you forget the Podcast Radio Network, you can still catch us on, well, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. I think we got Henshin Engine. If you have not backed him yet on Kickstarter, I know you've heard the commercial already on one of our episodes. In fact, you've heard it on more than one of our episodes. If you get a chance, check them out. They're still Kickstarter.
So close.
They're so close.
As of right now, when this airs, they will have maybe 9 days, I believe, left.
Sweet. So we're definitely still time to support them and not only have them meet their goal, but go well beyond it, because they'll probably
there are
announce
some awesome stretch goals.
Yeah. So if they do that, they're just going to be hitting those stretch goals. Wow, who knows what kind of game that they're going to be able to make if they exceed all those goals that with your help on their Kickstarter. That's Henshin Engine on Kickstarter. So I know you also heard this episode and maybe one of our past episodes about Mario Party Wars. They're a great group out there. Sal, Yelthin, and also Larna, and all the crew of Mario Party Wars. They get involved not only with UNLV functions, but they're doing functions all over the city of Las Vegas, and they go beyond. They go traveling to cons all over the place. I don't know how they do it. They got a lot, they just go all over the place. The great group. If you want to find out more about Mario Party Wars, check them out. Mario Party Wars on Facebook as well. Yeah. Whoever said, I heard the statement earlier today that Facebook is dying with the youth of America. I guess it is to an extent, Instagram, Snapchat, and whatnot, but Facebook still has its love out there.
I think Facebook, it's that home base for all these other things. I think we'll start seeing just more integration of other
things. The
Facebook
Live is just something that they integrate. That was sorely needed, and it's actually really, really boosted their back up their identity, so to speak. So it allows us to be here.
Yep.
I mean, we could be streaming as well on our YouTube page, which we also have a Pop Culture Cosmos YouTube page, which is now available, which we're going to throw up our stuff there as well. You'll be able to get this if you didn't get to see all of it. But best place to see it is also as well the Retro City Games Facebook page.
Yep.
So talking about that, but we're also talking about collectibles, and it's getting close to that season. Getting close to a lot of people wanting those gifts, starting to make out their gift sheets, starting to make out their checklist on what collectibles that they're looking forward to, what collectibles they're hoping to get. I know Nicole has probably talked at length to a certain individual about what collectibles she wants for this holiday season. I know my daughter has a birthday. One of my daughters has a birthday coming up that she's talked about what collectibles she wants. It's that time.
Yes, it
and
is.
it's also that expense. But be that as it may, yeah, it is. Be that as it may, what are some of the collectibles out there that people need to know about as far as it's concerned? Some that maybe they didn't think of, and some that they just everybody seems to know about, but that they should get more into.
This might be a little out in left field a little bit, but I feel with the way they kind of had a swing and a miss with the Lego Dimensions series, Lego has been doing some amazing things this year. They discontinued a ton of Star Wars and older sets, and the next month, actually last month, re-released them all in bigger, better sets. With,
Really?
The Death Star, most notably, they added, I think it was 800 pieces to that set.
Wow.
Yeah, so they discontinued the old Death Star, and then I was like, oh man, that was one of those ones I always said I should have bought.
I know my daughters we just got some sets from the Civil War.
Yeah.
Last month when they went on sale, so I know that people should be looking out for that indeed.
And Lego's pairing with Disney right now is amazing. I don't know if you've seen any of that, where they have the entire Disneyland castle is now available.
I'm just thinking the expense. As soon as you went like this, for all the listeners out there, as soon as Doug made it like a tall reference, whatnot, everybody knows in Legoland that does mean a little bit as far as the wall is concerned.
I believe it's over 2,500 pieces.
Which is, a great time as far as it's concerned to put it together, but whew, doggy.
Is it a $300 fun time?
Yes. I know as far as the when I go to the Lego stores and I see that Millennium Falcon, that's right around the $2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tempted. That's one, and I would probably not have a leg when I tried to leave the store because my wife would just whack me, but. That would probably be something that I'm very, very interested in every time I go to the Lego store.
That was like the Death Star. Death Star was 400, I believe, and it came back at 470 because they added. I believe I might be a little off. I believe it was almost 4,000 pieces, like 3,700.
And this is in advance. And this is in advance of any Rogue One sets, mind you.
Any Rogue One sets. I was gonna say I have some from last year. Nicole got me the Kylo Ren ship. Forgive me, I don't know the exact name of it. The Kylo Ren's like drop ship.
Yes.
And that one's amazing. It actually folds down. The wings come down and then fold into themselves. It's pretty awesome.
I bet if Jay's listening right now, Jay Bartlett, one of the main characters in, well, actually not main characters, the main people involved with Nintendo Quest. he is a major Star Wars fan, and so
He likes it a little bit.
yes, and he has experimented with Star Wars Lego quite a bit from what I've seen.
There's just so much.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so much quality, and I guess that's my thing is the quality of Legos
Yes.
never falters. It's just always getting bigger and better. So I know it's expensive, but to me it's one of those things to look out for just because of that.
And as they add more enticing licenses and whatnot, it's just
The Ghostbusters franchise,
Exactly.
Even the retro Ghostbusters series, they did the whole Firehouse. I don't know if you saw that one.
yes. And well, that's the thing. Even the Ghostbusters, the movie, it did not do what it needed to do financially. The whole merchandising aspect, the fact that the brand was revived, as far as trying to get that. And Lego was just one of those examples of where it succeeded, where in other parts it failed. And I think, like you said, that's the power of Lego. It needs to be attested to it as far as how much they bring to the table when Lego introduces a new license that they're dealing with. What are some of the other collectibles that have caught your eye for this holiday season that people should be interested in?
I don't know if they should be interested in, but the other one that just from in the store and something we've actually gotten into, which I told myself I'd never get into it, is the pop figures.
I knew you were going to say pops.
The pop vinyls, man. We were doing so good, and then we were in Seattle filming for Box Art, and Rob goes, "Oh, have you seen they did the Labyrinth and Dark Crystal figures? And oh, by the way, the white variant of Jareth, yeah, he's a Hot Topic exclusive." So 6 Hot Topics later, we had 2, one for each of us, and yeah.
And
they're just a machine. You talk about licensing. Oh my, it's unreal.
But when we talk about pops, is there the danger? And I remember I talked to Antoine Claire-Huinot last week, who just checked in with us, author of the Coleco book, and we talked at length regarding the rise and fall of the Cabbage Patch Kids. And if you didn't, you still can hear that interview either on the Pop Culture Cosmos previous episode on the iTunes channel or the entire interview on GameSource YouTube channel. So you tell me, could you see that same type of thing happening as far as with the pops? Because you go anywhere, at literally almost any retail outlet, even ones that don't normally sell those type of collectibles, you still will see a stack of pops.
You go back a year, and I would have said, oh, it's kind of like Beanie Babies. It's just going to be this huge, just all peak and then just bottom out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what sets pop figures apart is that licensing. They're not making they don't have to sell an original IP or an original idea. They're not selling you the Princess Diana bear. They're not selling you a Cabbage Patch doll that just looks like another figure. They're selling you Ant-Man. They're selling you Nightmare Before Christmas. They're selling you Captain America. They're selling you all these things that you're probably already interested in anyway, and now it's the price point as well. It's a $10 to $12 collectible that it doesn't take up much space when they're out of the box. If you want to leave them in the box, they look fairly decent, and they're at least viewable in it. It's one of those. It's really easy. You pick it up and it's $10.
Well, I
That's
think
an
also
easy,
as well,
approachable price point.
I think they've been very smart as far as how their strategy, as far as how they actually disperse the units, making exclusive to certain specific retailers, GameStop, Target, Walmart, what have you, and they go out of the way to make desirable pops using licenses that people are familiar with at each of those exclusive locations.
And I will actually, I'll give a shout out to I don't know if all Hot Topics do this, but the Hot Topic at the Galleria Mall here in town tiers their releases. So when they get in a new set that's exclusive to them, they only put out X amount of stock when they first open, X amount of stock a couple hours later, and a couple hours, that whole first day it's out, on like all the San Diego Comic-Con exclusives were trickling in throughout the whole day.
Really?
And the reason they do that is to keep resellers from buying them all.
Of course.
And so I thought that was actually, so taking ownership of, hey, we have an exclusive product, let's get the fans to buy it, instead of having a bunch of people pissed off it's exclusive and they couldn't get it.
And that's what happens a lot of times, especially when you get exclusives, like from Comic-Con, what have you. And now that there's exactly, exactly.
Amiibos, yeah.
That you get into a lot of issues where dealers are hoarding these up and not allowing the general public at large to get a fair opportunity to buy these collectibles. What are your thoughts on that?
I hate it. I'm in the resale business, and scalping drives me crazy. I feel it's one thing to go up to somebody, pay a fair price for something, and if you can make a couple of dollars, that's fine. But when you're going and just cornering the market and creating a false demand because you bought them all, that's it's just scalping. I hate it. It drives me crazy because I fall victim to it a lot. Amiibos, that ended up crashing, and I held firm on that I wasn't gonna. $20 was my max on an Amiibo when it was going crazy, and we almost completed the set doing that.
Well, and I've told
Just
you
patience.
about our love for the Disney Infinity series.
Oh, yeah.
And my daughters have just embraced it, and was so sad when Disney decided to discontinue the series. Although now, as we talked about previously, clearancing them out at many retail locations, it is now available at an extremely cheap price.
About $5 a piece, right?
Exactly. And even though there's now limited online activity, and now one day the servers will be shut down in the near future, at least from a standpoint, if there's children in your life that still love the Disney series and love the licenses that they're dealing with, I still wholeheartedly recommend to get Disney Infinity, because you can find them at some pretty cheap prices.
I actually have a few just because I like the figures.
Well, my daughters as well. My daughters as well.
I barely played the game with Nicole's siblings, and but I play it I don't even play it. I just like the figures. The quality of the sculpts is pretty good, especially for, I think you said $5 now.
Yes.
How do you really? I mean, how do you go wrong?
Or even less on some occasions. Yeah. Yes, and the actual the toy box adventures are now they're cheap.
One of the 3-packs was like $12. I was looking at the other day.
Exactly. The Marvel Battlegrounds I got for $10. That whole array of what you can do in there. My daughters were just ecstatic over getting it. And that was something that was released earlier this year, so it's not something you're buying 3 or 4 years ago. As far as it's concerned, there were the number one toys to life, and still, unfortunately, Disney made the chance to put them out. What are your thoughts on some of the actual collectibles that are out there that some, even more that some may have missed? I know we talked earlier about First Four figures. We talked about superhero figurines a little bit. I know Mezco as somebody that's been a company that's been great with us as far as sending us as far as the latest public press releases. If you get a chance to check out their stuff, I highly recommend doing so, because Mezco does a great job with their licenses that they deal with. But First Four figures you mentioned.
First Four figures I actually found out about today, and I found out about that they existed today. I've seen some of their figures before. Notably, they're doing a 20-inch tall Samus, which is pretty impressive. Just the quality of the sculpt and build is fantastic. Gaming Heads has actually always been my go-to website for making. They do more of not really figures. They do more of the statue style. I have a rather large Shrine of Talos from Skyrim. We've carried their product in our store. And I've had some in my personal collection. But the quality, it's mostly resin filled, just hand painted, just awesome figures. And they're normally pretty reasonable. I mean, a couple $100 too. I mean, they go up higher, but normally a couple $100 is your entry point. But we're talking, 20, 26-inch figures. So.
Not too bad indeed. And then I know, like I said, with the action figures you can get with all the superheroes and whatnot. Obviously, the wave of interest that has been created by Suicide Squad, even Batman versus Superman to an extent, Civil War. Those continue to gain interest in the collectible market.
Even just over the past 10 years, I mean, the amount of superhero movies, I think, has really prompted this whole resurgence of the idea of, I mean, comics were failing. It was a dying business. The merch was, sitting on shelves just being sad and lonely. I hate to say it. 10 years ago, and I mean when when X-Men came out, all of a sudden everybody was a comic fanatic, and it's awesome. I love it. But yeah, it's like you said with Suicide Squad, it's another resurgence of
exactly. And I know the Harley Quinn action figures that we looked at earlier. Those are $250, but those I'm sure are being sold like hotcakes because of exactly who they're representing. And the standbys of Batman, Superman, the Iron Man, things of that nature that the comic book scene has always in the past few years, like you said, with that resurgence, have relied upon, are still always in demand.
Well, and with that increased demand, the quality has seemed to go up. it seems like people are fighting, to the top instead of just, oh, I want to get the cheap figures for my kids. It seems like everybody's going for the more, I don't want to say more expensive, but that higher quality figures, the better sculpts, the more posable, the more. It's an interesting market right now, because normally you see that mass production and the quality. You just see masses of things coming out of China and things like that. And we're not really seeing that to an extent.
And I also wanted to note as well that now the people who are buying it, and the interest as far as from an older demographic, it's not just they're buying it for their kids. They're now buying it for themselves, to collect, to save, to display, whatnot. It's just something that more people our ages have gotten more into, and they're allocating more money for it. As so I hear quite often when I come into Retro City Games.
I don't even like collectibles.
Yeah, yeah.
This need a second house soon.
Exactly. And if there was a lie detector, like, or like just go off the charts.
Yeah, it would have blown up.
Exactly. But before we go and leave this subject, wanted to ask, so what are some of the collectibles that you would probably ask or tell consumers to stay away from, because maybe they don't show the value, the look, the quality, or just overall the experience of collecting that you're looking to get when you buy a collectible out there?
Well, we talked about a lot of this earlier, and I was kind of something you brought up, was the amount of like grab items at like a GameStop or a Walmart. A lot of the, especially in the video game world, it seems like they have that 6 weeks or so to really capitalize on the hype of that game. And you see you see socks, you see watches, you see hats, and then it all kind of just disappears into clearance bins.
Yes.
But that's the kind of stuff that I always tend to, I kick myself for some of it later, but I try to tend to stay away from it. I mean, how do you feel? I mean,
I get sucked into it pretty easily, especially with an 8 and a 10-year-old that
they're talking you into it.
Yes, they talking to me every time they're here. They ask me to get them something here, as you know. As Nicole quickly points out, as far as what she tells me exactly how much it's going to cost. So
I think they like Star Wars.
Yes, they do.
Just a little bit.
They do have a great affinity for Star Wars and Marvel and pretty much everything Disney. So I can never leave the store.
It's hard to not like Disney.
It's hard.
It's really tough.
Well, now that they own so many different entities and so many different licenses, exactly, it's now even much more difficult to dislike Disney in any realm or any kind of level.
It's not only them owning it; it's them, taking the time and making quality products with that. I mean, there's very little that I could say, man, that was really low quality from Disney. There's stuff I don't like, but I feel there's always a quality there. They never skimp, I guess.
And that's something I talked about with my girls, because they were wondering why the Disney, Infinity decision was made. And when it comes to quality, that's not that wasn't the answer. That wasn't the reason why, because as a Toys to Life game and as a Toys to Life experience, you see the figures, they're really well made, and you see the game itself was got garnered very strong reviews. It just, for them, it's also an issue of profit, where they can combine quality with a profitable experience. And I understand the high cost of making that experience for Disney Infinity was at times, I guess, just too much to bear, even though they were generating a high volume of sales. But with Disney, like you said, it always has to be quality first, and you see that with everything, pretty much everything that they do.
I agree.
For me, collectible I would stay away from is for you gamers out there, and I think you know what I'm talking about when I say this, is that the top games that are out there, the top games that are coming up, they all seemingly these days want to attach a collector's or limited edition, or you gotta have it edition. And in one instance recently, which game was that didn't come with the actual game but just came with the actual collector's item? Wish I knew that. I knew it and I forgot it. But those collector's editions and limited. Yeah, there's actually a collector's edition of a game that's coming out that doesn't actually include the game, but includes.
They tried to pull the. I know with was it Halo 5? They tried to not include the physical copy of the game, even though it was in the picture.
Yes.
But I know that. Yeah, and they really tried to push that. It was in the picture. And people were like,
Yeah, exactly. But those collector's and limited editions, I have an issue with, because first off, usually they're made in abundance, so they're not really going to retain its value for the most part. There are some that do, and there's some that actually rise in value. But for the most part, a lot of those, I think it all stems from the Halo 3 debacle as far as the limited editions
just pallets of those things everywhere.
Exactly. I when I was running game stores, I had counted over 100 that I was sitting on a year after the game had come out. So I can definitely tell you from firsthand experience that might have lent itself to a bad feeling amongst some gamers regarding collector's edition and the value and worth in them.
If it's a AAA title, I tend to stay away from it right out of the gate. If it's I don't want to say a niche, but if it's not a Halo or a Call of Duty or things like that, if I like the game or I think I'm going to like the game, I tend to pick it up. I've been burned a couple times. Like I always mispronounce this Danganronpa for the
Danganronpa?
Yeah, the visual novels for the Vita. I was actually looking just last night because I'm going for a complete Vita set, and I have the game, and I was like, oh, how much is the collector's? Retailed for I think it was $90 is what it retailed for, and I had passed on it when it came out. Now it sits roughly between $350 and $4. When you can find it.
Exactly.
So I mean, for me, I think it's great when it's a game that you're trying to support. But a lot, like you said, even Uncharted. I'm a huge Uncharted fan, but I passed, and I've already seen a price drop on that collector's, and now it's a little more enticing. But yeah, there's a lot of them like that.
Well, thanks to your help, I was able to get an Uncharted 4 collectible of my own, but that's actually a PlayStation 4 in and of itself. So. With your help, that's probably for me the farthest I will go with that. But those $150, $250 collectible limited editions, collector's editions, obviously you see every year with the Battlefields, the Call of Duties, you name it. The Final Fantasies are now doing it. It just seems like every major title comes out has to come out with it. The Pip-Boy edition with Fallout 4. I know that was just like people were just going gaga over that.
Yeah, I woke up at like 3 in the morning when I was still up at like 3 in the morning, and it went live, and I just ordered it, and then the next day people were losing their minds, and I'm like, I had no idea it was gonna be that big of a deal, and now they're not that hard to come across.
Exactly. So that's my point entirely, is that they don't seem to retain their value, they don't seem to retain their interest with consumers and with gamers alike. So. If there's anything you might want to stay away from or consider staying away from, are those collector's editions. Indeed, spend it more on more games.
I agree.
Spend it more on maybe another year of PSN or Xbox Live. Even though PSN just raised its price $10, but it's still a fairly decent value for what you get. But spend it on things that you like to do, and that's more gaming.
Yep.
Or all those abundant DLC packs that you now actually have to get. I know some of them are incorporated into this collector's edition, but calculate the cost and weigh the value of actually what you're interested in to actually what you're going to get out of it. I think it's probably some of the best advice I can give for you.
I would agree.
Any other advice that you want to give as far as collectibles?
I agree completely with what you just said and what we've been talking about. If it's something you want, buy it, but know that a lot of times the price is going to drop in those things.
Take a step back for just one moment before you make that decision, and think about if this collectible is what it's going to add to not only your collection but also you as an individual. Is this something that's going to define who you are, or is it just going to be put aside, gathering dust in eventuality, or you're trading it in? Whatnot, that for much lower value than what you can get out of it. So, because you only want to make sure when you come by Retro City Games, you want to make sure you give them the high value stuff. Isn't that right?
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. Of course. But last thing I want to say as far as collectibles are concerned, when you get a collectible that you've been looking for, that you've staunchly been looking around for, that you've been hunting for, and you finally get it in the mail, or you finally get to go to the store that has it, what is that feeling like for you?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, it's a tangible object that it bridges the with film and movies and comics and books and all that kind of thing. I'm sorry, and games. There's an intangibility to them, even though some of them we're controlling and you can hold a book. The characters themselves you can't see in that three-dimensional space. So a lot of the collectibles, to me, bringing that to life is just special and exciting. So I like surrounding myself with those things.
And when I see you with trays, when people come in, numerous trays that I've seen or been a part of, as far as I walk in and I see you with a whole bunch of collectibles out there. I see the look that both you, Nicole, and get, as far as, wow, I can't believe this is coming in. This is fantastic. This is not only what my gamers consumer base is looking for, but this is also something that I have a genuine interest in as well. And I see your eyes light up as far as that's concerned. And you know, that's part of the reason why you have all those great reviews for your site and for your Facebook page and for your store as a whole, is because that interaction with the consumer, that love you still have when those collectibles come in the door.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you don't like what you're doing, it shows. And I mean, we love games, we love this stuff, so it's. I hope it shows, and it seems to be. But yeah, I'm always grateful for the approval and appreciation we've gotten over the last 2 years.
Awesome indeed. We're gonna close up shop when we come back. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. We appreciate you watching, listening. Thank you. So, thanks to everyone for watching on the Retro City Games page. And while Doug checks one thing, just want a reminder again. 2nd year anniversary is tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, as far as this is concerned, we truly appreciate you being a part of it. It is 6 p.m. to midnight. Tomorrow night is the 2nd year anniversary party, celebration, extravaganza. Like I said, Henshin Engine will be here in the house. So will Pop Culture Cosmos. We will be in the house as well. Doug and Nicole have just done a great job here with Retro City Games. They're you know, so blessed to be a part of it, and just they've done such a tremendous job, and we truly wish them many more years of successful gaming and successful selling and being part of the gaming scene here in Las Vegas and throughout the country and throughout the world via their Facebook page that you're watching the show from right here as well. So let me just turn this a little bit over a little bit. So last plug as far as is concerned for Pop Culture Cosmos, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com, Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, and Pop Culture Cosmos on Twitter. Just give us a shout out, give us a check, give us a like, follow, whatever you want to do. Just hope you get a positive interaction with us, because like I said, we are out there for you, the gamer, you, the pop culture fan, and giving you the idea on what's going on in the world of pop culture, whether it be movies, television, gaming, collectibles, board gaming, so much out there in the world of pop culture, technology, pro wrestling, so much more. Want to check it out, Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. So we're almost going to wrap it up here. We just again want to thank everyone for watching. Almost done, and Doug is be just right back on that. But again, we appreciate you standing by with us. Want to thank you so much for watching. So I'll be right back in just a few moments. Thanks for your patience, everyone. This is the live feed for Pop Culture Cosmos, episode number 4. Once again, that's the podcast radio network. Anybody that's going to be able to listen to it out there, that's the podcast radio network. Truly appreciate it. I know we've gotten a lot of feedback on as far as the shows are concerned so far. Upcoming, I can give you a little sneak peek as for what's going to come up on Monday. Not only some of this footage that we're going to put on there, but you will also as well hear an interview with me and Salvador from Mario Party Wars talking about board gaming, as far as what his choices are and what his favorite selections that are out there and ones that you need to be more aware of, and why board gaming has become so popular again in recent times. And well, Rob is going to have part of the episode of The Trenches, his series of podcasts on his Rob McCallum Films YouTube channel. It will be actually a segment of that will actually be on the show. He's going to be interviewing Joe Amato, Joe Amato Customs Designs, It's going to be probably about 15, 20 minutes of that. It's going to be aired on the Pop Culture Cosmos show, so we're looking forward to that as well. That'll be again on Monday night, Podcast Radio Network, or it will become available this weekend on the Pop Culture Cosmos webpage at popculturecosmos.wordpress.com, or any available outlet like iTunes and podcast.com on the Pop Culture Cosmos channels. So you know what? I think I'm going to wrap it up here because I think there's a little bit of action as far as it's concerned with a lot of good sales. I guess they're going through. It's getting pretty heavy out here in front. Can you squeeze on back or? Okay. There.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries, because it's getting heavy over there. I didn't know Nicole. Wasn't sure Nicole. Might need your help with all the sales that might be going on over there right now. So, let's I guess wrap this thing up. And we're back once again. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. We appreciate you watching and tuning in, you listening and tuning in. Again, on the Podcast Radio Network, iTunes, and podcast.com. I'm here with my good friend Doug. It's been a pleasure. Douglas Hoyabu, tell us a little bit more about Retro City Games and also the docuseries from Rob McCallum Films, which they got a taste of on one of our commercials that was played, but also a little bit more about Box Art, the docuseries.
So Retro City Games is it's the game store that myself and Nicole, my girlfriend, own here in Henderson, Nevada. We deal in everything, from retro to new school gaming, collectibles, figures. We do game nights. We're coming up on our 2-year anniversary. That will have been, when this airs, it'll be 2 days prior. So
yes.
the 24th, we're doing the party. For that, big game night, tons of games, food, prizes, giveaways, all that type of fun stuff. We are working on a project with Rob McCallum from Nintendo Quest, Missing Mom, Power Grayskull. We're working on Box Art, the documentary, the definitive look at box art and the history of that.
You do want to make sure that you always say the award-winning.
The award-winning
Missing Mom.
I'm sorry.
Yes, yes. Rob might get mad. I don't want Rob to get mad at you because he obviously you're a producer working on the project. But
I know half my feed is just awards that Missing Mom has won.
Exactly. He's getting so many awards, and we're just so happy for him as far as it's concerned for his newest film that's been released. Well, actually, it's been able to release to the public, but it's going to Film Fest all over the world, and I mean all over the world. It's Missing Mom.
Yeah.
It's obviously a labor of love for him, but it's proving to be quite the movie that's getting a lot of acclaim. I reviewed it. If you want to check out a little bit of what Missing Mom is about, go to popculturecosmos.wordpress.com because there is a review that I did because I've actually been blessed to actually see the movie. You've been blessed enough to see the movie as well because I feel like we're too we know this, we've seen already this golden nugget which you want to show to the world, but it's not yet quite as available as it will be. But it's what is being seen and the people who are seeing it are praising it indeed.
It's an excellent film. It's definitely it's a great story, and it's also touching, and it's so just real. I know that sounds very simplistic in the way it's said, but it's just a real story. Absolutely. And it shows.
And just like people will be familiar with his other work, Nintendo Quest and the Nintendo Quest Power Tour, which might have some people we know on it. But those two were just outstanding projects, and Missing Mom is falling in line with that indeed. He's also working on the He-Man documentary as well. But the one I want to talk about before we go off the air is the docuseries Box Art, which you are definitely, and Nicole is definitely a great part of. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Nicole and I are producers on Box Art. We are doing like I said before, a definitive look at the history of video game box art. Everything from the form factor in why boxes. I mean, why don't we have clamshell design? Why don't we have blister packs like every other medium at that time? Toys and figures and that. It was
why didn't it just all come in CD cases like it did for PC games for a time?
Exactly, and for
PlayStation.
And the artists behind that work, artists weren't allowed to sign their work. So for years, iconic things like the original Metal Gear, he wasn't allowed to sign his work. So these iconic covers, Mega Man, all these things, it was just kind of not lost to time, but no one, even the people who were asking the questions, there were no answers. There was no one to go to. And we spent the better part of the last 6 months to a year hunting down a lot of those people. And recently been doing interviews with them, talking to them about that process. And
So you're getting a lot of great stories.
oh yeah, a lot of original artwork we've gotten the pleasure to see, and a lot of first-hand accounts of this is how the industry was. This is why I did that. This is why the art is the way it is. This is why I even did the project. I mean, some people, video games weren't what they are today. They weren't ingrained in culture. So it was one of those things for a lot of these guys. It was another project, and so what made them do that game over not doing it or doing a different game instead?
Exactly.
And a lot of great stories, a lot of things that even I, as involved in this as in retro games as I am, I had no idea a lot of this stuff, and a lot of things that were speculation coming to light as fact.
And you can find out more about not only Box Art, the docuseries, but all of Rob's projects at robmccallumfilms.com. He keeps everyone updated on exactly what's going on with all of his properties, and also he gives you the chance, if it's available for sale, as in the case of Nintendo Quest and the Nintendo Quest Power Tour, with guest appearances from us. He tells you exactly how you can either watch it via digital download, Blu-ray, and DVD. So it's all right there at robmccallumfilms.com. So I think that's going to do it for another episode of Pop Culture Cosmos. Doug, any last things that you want to say as far as to the fans out there of Pop Culture Cosmos?
Put me on the spot. No, I'm joking.
Exactly.
No,
well, that was last week. That was last week.
Oh yeah, it was. I had a major brain fart last week. No, everybody just have fun gaming. I mean, I hope you join us next week and check out all the great content we've been coming out with. If you have any comments or anything you'd like to see on the show, anyone you'd like us to reach out to talk to, between the group of us, we have a pretty decent amount of people in the industry that we can at least try to reach out to.
Exactly.
If there's anything you guys want to see on this show, let us know.
Either at the Retro City Games Facebook page, the Pop Culture Cosmos Facebook page, Pop Culture Cosmo on Twitter, or Game Source on Facebook as well. We just send that message to us.
Yep.
We're glad to go ahead and be able to do what we can to provide you, the listener, and the viewer out there with as much as possible information, news, and actually just fun and good times right here on Pop Culture Cosmos. And even if you want to email us, if you're still into the email, you can still get a hold of us at popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. So for Douglas Hoyabu, this is Gerald Glassford. Once again, we're both from Pop Culture Cosmos. He's also from Retro City Games. It's been a pleasure. Again, we do the show as much as we can here from Retro City Games, and we are truly blessed and honored to do so. We truly appreciate you being a part of the Pop Culture Cosmos experience. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. It's another beautiful, beautiful day in paradise, and you have yourself a great day.
Especially today.
Exactly.
Weather finally broke.
Yes, indeed.